Hi, this is Gail Nettles with Beaded Jewelry Diva. Today we are going to talk rings. These are made with the SuperDuo rings. I have gotten a request to go ahead and do some Peyote SuperDuo ring videos, which I am doing. I've got 3 of them. And this first one, what we're going to do is we're going to learn to make a simple band. The one that we're going to be doing in this video is this particular one. This one is really the same, it's just a little bit wider band, but we're going to start with a narrower one first. So you can see I have it in several different colors. So this is where we start, and in the next video that follows this one, we are going to learn how to embellish these. Yes, so we're going to embellish these rings, and if you don't want to, I mean, you can just leave them like this, but so this is part 1 of the video, and these are going to be part 2. So, you excited? I am excited to show you how to do these, so give me a second and I'll come back with the supplies that you're going to need. Wide and a couple inches long, and you're going to use this to go ahead and measure your the finger that you want to use for your ring. You're going to need 2 different colors of the SuperDuo beads. I have one size 8 bead that's going to be my stop bead. Then I have needle and thread and a pair of scissors, and the pair of scissors is for cutting the piece of paper. And remember, don't use your good scissors to cut paper. Okay, to measure my finger, I'm going to take the piece of paper, I'm going to wrap it around, I'm going to make a little bit of a let's try this again. Make a little bit of a mark right about where the 2 join, and just with my finger, and then do a snip and double check it to make sure that it's about the right. Yep, just barely overlaps. You can't quite see it because I'm not overlapping it, but it barely overlaps, and that's really what you want for this particular ring. Okay, now that we've got the size of our piece of paper and we've got our supplies, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, you've got your piece of paper, you've got your 2 different colors of beads, you've got your stop bead, needle, thread. So I'm going to go ahead and just thread on my stop bead. And if you don't know how to thread on a stop bead, I think I have a video on doing things like that. So anyway, I've got it threaded on. I've got probably about 4 or 5, maybe 6 inches on the end of it. And that's so you can end up sewing back through and, you know, strengthening your ring later on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 of my interior colors. So my interior colors are going to be the greens. So I pick up 2 greens, slide them on down. Then I'm going to pick up 1 of the silvers, because the silvers are my outside beads. So pick up a silver. So I've got 3 beads on there. Now what I'm going to do is, I've got the thread coming out of this bottom one. I'm going to go ahead and put my needle back through the top hole of this SuperDuo bead. So now I've got it, you know, going ahead, coming out the bottom, going back in through the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on another green bead. I'm going to leave this middle one drop down, and I'm going to flip this end one up. I'm going to put my needle through the top of that SuperDuo bead that's been flipped up. So now I've got something that looks like this. So I've got the silver and the greens on the interiors, and here's my stop bead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a silver, slide it on down, and it's coming out of the bottom. I'm going to flip it up, put my needle back through the top hole of the silver, pick up a green, put it through the top of this one. So now you can see where the peyote is starting to come in. Okay, one more time. So it's coming out of the top one of this green bead, picking up a silver, sliding it down, if I can ever get it slid down. Coming out of the bottom, I'm putting my needle back through the top of the silver, so it looks like this, picking up a green and putting it in through this green. So you're going to keep on doing this until you've got it just about the size of this particular piece of paper. And remember, this piece of paper is the diameter of the ring that you're gonna be making. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this up to the point where I'm going to show you how to join the two ends of the ring so it looks like it's one whole ring and you can't tell where the join is. So give me a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm back and I've got pretty much my band. Now what I started doing is I went ahead and did this and just did all the beads until I got about to the end of my piece of paper, and that's when I started measuring it against my finger. So really this piece of paper is really to the point of, okay, now I think I'm almost done, I've got to start measuring. So anyway, this is a length that I know fits me well, and what I could do is I could grab another piece of paper and I could mark this exactly if I wanted to keep making rings. But in any case, right now, the way we have it set up is my needle is coming out of this top part of this silver bead. You can see that down here I have my stop bead coming out of this side. So my needle's coming out of this side, the stop bead's coming out of this side, and this is very important for you to go ahead and join this ring. Your needle has to be coming out of this side and your stop bead has to be on the other side. That's how you can tell when you're ready for the join. Okay, here I am, my needle is coming out, let's see, doesn't want to show it. Okay, my needle's coming out of the back of this bead. So instead of, normally I just go ahead and put on another bead and go on, but this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip up this end and I'm going to put my bead right where I would have put a bead if I was just putting on a new one. So this is really in effect our new bead. So just so I can show it to you again, here's where my thread is coming out of this silver bead. I'm flipping this end up and I'm going to put my needle through this bead right here. So needle through, and I know it's kind of confusing, especially when you've got, you know, this other thread in the way and your stop bead and everything, but I've got it coming through here. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my needle through the next bead, which would be, you know, the one that I would be using if I was just doing this flat still. So I've got it through these two beads. Let me see if I can get this. Okay. So now my thread is coming through this bead right here. This is the end with my stop bead, and what I need to do is I need to have a silver bead joining these two. So what I do is I don't take off the stop bead entirely, just so I can keep my things straight, or my memory straight. So there we go. So here's my needle. Here's my thread coming out of here. I'm going to pick up a silver bead and I'm going to do just like I've done all this time. I'm going to go ahead and put my needle through the top hole, my top hole of my silver, just like I always do. And then, see, this is where my stop bead was, where I'm pulling right here. I'm going to put my needle down through this. So I'm just going to go down through all these beads. And this is what joins your ring. So you can't even tell that you really have a separation. Now it does kind of look like a separation because this isn't as close to as this as you'd like. These two beads aren't as close. But we're going to fix that because we're just going to go ahead and sew through a few more beads. And this way you're just basically reinforcing the join. And this is the reason I really like to keep hanging on to the stop bead, is just so I know which end is my end, which end is my end, which end of the thread is where I started, I guess. Now you can see these two are coming out real close to each other. I'm still not going to go ahead and tie them off because I prefer to go ahead and weave through. So I've got my thread coming out of here, out of the silver bead. What do I normally do? I just put it down through the next set of beads. So it's coming out like this. And I'm just going to go ahead and sew through these a few times. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to sew through, I'd pretty much almost sew through the entire ring. And the reason being is rings get a lot of abuse on your fingers. So I like to go ahead and reinforce them. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tie it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through the end bead. And I'm going to go ahead, take my thread and put it under, or take my needle and put it under the thread. Tie myself a little half-hitch knot. Go through the next bead. Repeat my half hitch. If I can, there we go. And I do this a few more times. So I'd also do it on this end. I'd go ahead and undo my stop bead. I'd go ahead and thread the needle and go through a few times, and that way just to go ahead and reinforce the join. But really this is this bead. I made it a little bit loose because I'm actually going to go ahead and embellish this, and in the embellishment it's going to take up a little bit of the length to it. So it is real loose on me right now, but I really kind of meant to do it that way because, and even if you don't want to embellish it, sewing back and forth through this is going to tighten this up. But here's the first part of the ring. This, if you like it just the way it is, then don't bother with embellishing it. You can just wear it and, like I said, just reinforce it a few more times and you're good to go. If you want to go ahead and see the embellishment, stick around for the next video where I show you how to go ahead and put some extra goodies on this ring. Okay, this is Gail Nettles with Beaded Jewelry Diva, and I will see you in the next video where we'll learn how to embellish this ring. If you enjoy this video, please go ahead and give me a like. If you enjoy videos like this, just go ahead and subscribe and I would appreciate it. In the meanwhile, happy beading. Bye.